everyone, again, this is Jack Wallen here with some audiobook narration tips. Now today I want to talk with you about something that has been discussed extensively and researched extensively all over the place. And I'm not going to talk to you in such a way that you're not going to be able to understand it, because the subject I want to talk about is acoustics. Now, I want to preface this by saying I have only studied sound to a certain level. I had some sound classes in undergraduate school and graduate school, but I'm not a sound engineer. However, I have recorded sound, I have recorded music in all sorts of different environments. And I have figured out a pretty easy way to help create an environment in which you can record audiobooks and make it sound pretty good. Now, the thing about recording audiobooks is that you've got to have an environment that is as quiet as possible. You can't have extraneous sounds. Now, there is a limit to that. Most of the tools you're going to use to record your audiobooks have the ability to remove environmental sounds. Now, that's conditional. The condition being that the environmental sounds have to be a constant. So let's say, for example, right now it's winter and it's cold out. So I know that when I'm recording, the heat is going to kick on. So what you can do, like with Audacity, which is the tool that I use to record sound, I can record a session with the heat going. And then I record a sample of the ambient noise, and then I tell Audacity to remove that sound from the recording. And it works perfectly. However, you want to start with as low a noise floor as you can get. What that means is that when you hit record on your DAC, your software, whatever it is you're using, you shouldn't see those little meters moving at all. It should be very, very low, like in the negative decibels. If not, if you're seeing those meters move when you're not speaking, then you've got extraneous sounds that you've got to figure out where they come from and how to get rid of them. Now, in the house that I used to live in, my office was in the basement. And what was absolutely great about that was that whoever did the decor of this house in this basement, for some odd reason, they decided they wanted the basement to look like cabin rustic chic. So the walls and the ceiling were all wood, and it was an open ceiling. So there were cross beams and rafters. So there were all of these things that would block sound. And that's really what's important. If you're in let's just say, for example, you're in a room with just walls and nothing in the room. It's just walls. And you speak. You're going to hear echo. It's just like when you walk into a house that is unfurnished, has nothing in it. You're home shopping. And you walk into a house that no one's living in and there's nothing there. And you talk and all of a sudden it just sounds expansive. Why is that? It's because your voice is bouncing off the walls and it has nothing to stop it. Now, you could just be in that room with no furniture or anything, place paintings on the walls, and it will deaden that sound somewhat, because there will be something for this that will stop the sound from so freely bouncing. Now, when you put furniture in the room and you put other accoutrements like lighting and decorations and things, all of a sudden sound has even more things to block it from bouncing. So instead of sound hitting a wall and doing a nice 90-degree turn and going off that way, it might hit a painting and it changes the angle. So it's going to have to go somewhere else, and it might hit something else. So you're going to deaden that sound a little bit just by putting things in a room. Now, that is not enough. Especially when you're in our house, we have very high ceilings. And all of the walls aren't plaster, it's drywall, it's the usual stuff. So here's what I do, and it's really simple. I went to Target and I bought, it's the really not so much sound dampening curtains, but they're light blocking curtains. So they're thicker than normal curtains. And they're not really expensive. I think they were about $25 for a 8-foot panel, maybe a 9-foot panel. And our ceilings are like 10 feet. So I've got to have really long ones. So I bought this, and I bought these back at the old house. Because what I did with the old house was I created two panels, two walls of each wall had 2 panels of the curtain. So they did this, and my desk was here, so they surrounded my desk in such a way that it shrunk my recording space to about maybe a 10 by 10 square. Okay. And half of that was curtain. So that was there. And in the new place, all I did was I went back to Target and I bought a rod that I could attach to the ceiling and and put the curtains in so I could slide the curtains back and forth. Those curtains alone dampen the sound enough that I can record without any extraneous noise. Unless the heat's going on, then I just remove it. It's remarkable what those curtains do. So if the room you're using to record your audiobooks is large, what you're going to want to do, and I think my office is probably about 15 or 20 feet long by probably 15 feet wide. So I cut the office in half, hung them from the ceiling. They don't go all the way to the floor, but they almost hit the floor. And then there's carpet. Carpet is important. If the room you're recording in doesn't have carpet in it, get a rug. Get as large of a rug as you can and put it on the floor. Because that floor is your sound is going to echo off the floor. You want as much fabric as you can to block the sounds. And then, in combination with your decorations, you can really, really get a quiet room with little money. Just some light blocking curtains from Target, a nice, attractive rug under your feet, and you're good to go. And like I said, once you get your curtains hung and your carpet, your rug laid down, if you don't have carpet, hit record and check your noise floor. Make sure that those little meters aren't moving. You will be shocked at how much those curtains will dampen the sound. Now, if you're working in a small room, here's another tip. If you're working in a small room and there's not a whole lot of echo, but you're still getting noise, you can hang those curtains in front of you so that let's say your desk is in a corner and your monitor is right in front of you. Hang those curtains on this wall and this wall so you're facing that corner, and when your sound leaves your mouth and goes into the microphone, it's not going to have anything to bounce off of. Right? If you have a bare wall and you speak into that bare wall, it's going to bounce right back at you. I have a big 34-inch monitor in front of me, and then above that I have 2 cloth paintings that are attached to the walls, and then below that I have 2 more, well, they're not cloth, canvas paintings that are beside. So I have all the stuff that keeps that sound from bouncing right back, which is good because my mic is called, I think it's called a super cardioid. So it doesn't just, normal cardioid mic would pick up the sound like right here in front of you. A super cardioid picks up some from the back. So I need to make sure that there's nothing bouncing off the walls in front of me coming back to the mic, because the sound that the mic is going to pick up in front is going to happen before, even if it's just a few milliseconds before, it's going to happen before the sound that has bounced back and comes into the mic from behind. So there's going to be a delay. And you want to make sure that there's nothing coming back at you. Otherwise, you're going to have that echoey sound, and you can't deal with that on an audiobook. So it's not really expensive to deaden the sound in your room. Hang some pictures up, hang some curtains, put a rug down. More than likely, that's going to do it. You know, I've seen videos and pictures of people who have stuffed themselves into a closet and hung a bunch of things up to get as absolute dead a sound as they can get. Remember this. It's not what your ears hear. It's what your mic picks up. So make sure when you're trying to judge whether or not your room is good enough that you don't just listen, you record. You hit record and you don't say anything. You just let the mic pick up the ambient sound. If those meters aren't moving, it's not picking up really any sound, not enough sound to register. So, and then again, as always, make sure you're wearing headphones. So what I like to do when I move into a new room to record, which is very rare, is I'll set everything up, I'll hit record and let it record about 30 seconds of sound. And then I'll listen back with my headphones on. And I have closed back headphones. Remember that recent tip I gave you. And I'll press those headphones into my head just a little bit to block out even more sound. So the only thing I'm hearing is what's coming out of those speakers. And if I hear anything, then I know I've got to deal with the acoustics in the room. You don't have to have a degree in sound engineering to get your room good enough for audiobook recording. Now, if we're recording music or there are other things that you would probably want to get a sound engineer involved with, but not for audiobooks. Trust me on this. You can get the sound quality of your recording room good enough with little money and little effort. All right? I know this subject was kind of boring, and hopefully it helps you, those of you who are struggling to get a quiet room, and hopefully you'll have realized that, oh my gosh, I don't really have to put that much effort into this. It can be done. Trust me, I've done it in many a room. Curtains are your friend. Thank you for hanging out with me in this little place I call craziness. I hope you're safe. I hope you're happy. I hope you have someone there to give you a hug when you need it. If not, imagine me giving you that hug that you desperately need. Take care, have a wonderful day, and I'll talk to you soon.